Well, tonight on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to look at and expound on an article that kind of came across my desk from The Hill. Now, as you can see on the screen here, it says Democrats feel entitled to the black vote, and only now are they concerned. So the reason why Democrats actually feel entitled to the black vote, because y'all, for the past 60 years, have freely given your vote for nothing. You voted for 60 years of symbolism. You voted for, he looks like me. You're just so excited because somebody look like you. Don't know about, are they going to do any policies for me? Are they going to make the lives of black people better? And what do we get from all these so-called black politicians that were Democrats? Nothing. All you got was quote unquote representation. You got empty suits and empty dresses. No substance to these people at all. Then you got the nerve to even defend these empty suits and empty dresses. You got the nerve to defend them. Like they actually do something for the black community. You give excuse, well, he can't do nothing because of Republican. She can't do nothing because of this. He can't do this. She can't do that. It's always an excuse what they can't do. And you still go out and vote for people that can't do anything for the past 60 years. So this is why Democrats feel entitled to the black vote, because y'all the best people ever to vote for Democrat. They don't have to promise you nothing. They don't have to give you nothing. Everybody else actually got to promise something to and do something for them. Now you have a group of black folk who are saying, no, we're not going to vote for you. You're going to actually do something for us. And what happens with that is you got that, because that's called what it is, the majority. And I will say it. The majority of black folks who vote, believe it or not, y'all, are still on that. He looks like me. And, oh, my God, I'm afraid of those Republicans. And, oh, my God, I got to save democracy. And it don't matter how many migrants Biden and them put in their neighborhood. It don't matter how many resources they're taking away from them. They don't care about that. But you know what? What I say to them black folks, shame on you. Shame on you. And you the problem. Because I told y'all before, our biggest problem, we can't really deal with the Bidens of the world until we deal with black folk who constantly selling us out. You want to call Clarence Thomas and Ben Carson sellouts. Y'all more of a sellout than they are, because you're selling the black community down the river by the way you vote. You know the Democrats not doing nothing for black folks, and you still go out there and vote for them anyway. They have no policies for black people, but that's okay. You gonna vote for them anyway. See, over here, we vote policy, not party. We're not behest to the Democrats. We're not behest to the Republicans. We focus on policy. And yes, when it comes to the policy of getting rid of this migrant crisis, Trump would be the best person to get rid of them because Biden's the one that started it. Let's call it what it is. The Democrats sure not trying to do it because the Democrats support it. But let's continue in this article here we want to expound upon, because, you know, y'all have to understand that the majority of black folk, we're talking about those who vote, because a lot of people don't vote, but those who vote, I'm telling y'all, don't be shocked for those that come out and vote, still go out and vote Biden. I'm telling you, because you have so-called educated people still really believe in what they're talking about. And it's so-called educated. And I'm not against education, but I'm against people that claim they're educated, but they don't have a lick of common sense. I'm like, why did you get in student loan debt for that? Why? Well, let's continue. Now, in this article, they start off saying there's a few things that are more terrifying to the Democrats than the prospect of black voters moving. They say even slightly toward the Republican Party. Now, they say after the Civil War, once the Democratic Party had lost and slavery was abolished, former slaves rushed to vote for the party that had been created for the express purpose of abolishing that horrible institution. Yes, in America, we talking about American history. Black folks were originally Republicans. The Democrats were the ones that focused on slavery and the KKK, etc. That's American history. It's nothing, no lie about that. Let's continue. Democrats fought Reconstruction tooth and nail, employing violence as a means to intimidate and terrify. Now, Reconstruction was the years after the Civil War. The Union troops had to be put in the South so our people can be left alone. And during Reconstruction, our people had made a lot of headway during Reconstruction. But why did Reconstruction end? Let's continue. After the contested election of 1876 came the Compromise of 1877. Republicans made a deal with the devil. They say in exchange for letting Rutherford B. Hayes, a Republican, take the White House, Democrats demanded an end to Reconstruction. Restored to power, they proceeded to suppress the black vote and blacks' other rights in the South. Soon, all black members of Congress from the South, all Republicans, were tossed out of office. Segregation and Jim Crow became the norm for the next 9 decades. Now, why did they have the Compromise of 1877? The Democrats in the South was threatening another civil war. That's what they were threatening. It was not that Rutherford B. Hayes and them was saying, oh, yeah, y'all do it. No. They were threatening another war. And they did not want another civil war in this country, so they had the Compromise of 1877. The Democrats at that time, as we were reading here, which is American history, they wanted to take away all the gains of black America. Now, fast forward to 2024. Look at the Democrat Party. We have been tied to the hip at a party that had originally attacked Reconstruction, attacked our voting, tossed our members of Congress out, and put segregation and Jim Crow in as the norm for the next 9 decades. They were threatening another war because they couldn't oppress black people. They couldn't oppress black Americans. And it's just crazy how things have switched. Now, I say black voters, I say if Democrats did not prevent them from voting outright, voted mostly for Republicans for much of that time, they say that changed. This is when it changed. When President Lyndon Johnson and the Civil Rights Act of 1964. From that time, Democrats have come to lean heavily on the black vote and never as heavily as they do now. Lyndon Johnson was a freaking racist. There are tapes of him calling us the N-word all day long. The only reason Lyndon Johnson signed that Civil Rights Act is because black Americans was putting foot to butt, fire to buildings, and everything else during that time period while we got our civil rights. It's not because they were just so benevolent and they say, oh, we are wrong for what we're doing. No, we turned America upside down to get our civil rights. And I don't know why our people at that time thought that it was the Democrat Party, because actually, if you do the research on the votes of the Civil Rights Act, more Republicans signed on with the Civil Rights Act than Democrats at that time period. I looked it up. I was like, wow. When I actually looked it up, I was quite shocked when I looked it up, because I never, in school, I wasn't taught that. I was taught about the Civil Rights Act was signed, but I wasn't taught how many Democrats signed on, how many Republicans signed on. We're just talking about American history here, not political leanings, American history. But the Democrats don't want to talk about how they were so against the Civil Rights Act, how they were so against the Voting Rights Act, too. Now, Johnson really had no choice but to sign it because black folks were turning up at that time period. Now, let's continue. They say, as with most things, they said that can be relied upon. They said they have taken it completely for granted ever since. They say providing almost nothing in return, save for fear mongering. And that part is true. What tangibles have we received from the Democrats? Even your current president, that a lot of you said that was going to save democracy, brought in the 1994 crime bill, which ushered in mass incarceration. Kwesi Mfume, with the Congressional Black Caucus at that time, he was in support, and the Congressional Black Caucus voted for the 1994 crime bill. Goes back what I told you before. Black folk have always sat here and made sure to help white supremacy, to oppress black folk. But those Congressional Black Caucus members, they were all Democrats, right? Your friends, the Democrats. And now all they do is fearmonger. They already started. Michelle Obama out here fearmongering, Biden fearmongering. Everybody's fearmongering. The fearmongering don't work. It don't work. You already played that once. You can't play it again. We don't care because we really don't have nothing to lose at this point. We don't. See, maybe if you Democrats actually gave reparations in the form of cash payments, gave us an anti-black hate crime bill, on top of that, changing the laws where everything has to be equal, where black folk can have an equal playing field in this country, maybe we would be thinking about democracy like that if democracy proves to work for black Americans. Y'all use democracy as a buzzword, but you don't really believe in democracy, and you Democrats don't act in democracy. Case in point, look at Chicago. The residents of Chicago want on the ballot in March the ability to vote if they want their city to stay a sanctuary city or not. And you Democrats in Chicago, Brandon Johnson and the rest of you, you made sure to block that so the voters cannot vote, which would be actually a democracy. These are the Democrats who are doing this in a Democrat city. But I thought the Democrats talking about let's save democracy. He ain't saving crap. Let's continue. They say with Democrats commanding upwards of 90% of the black vote in some elections and cultural and civil rights leaders enforcing the near unanimity, it said Republicans typically hope to only receive about 10%. They're saying that was just how it was, no matter how bad the economy or crime got in cities or high black populations and generational Democrat Party control, Republicans could never even make a small dent in that loyalty. The reason being, we were raised to be Democrats in our household. You have to understand that. Worship Jesus, white Jesus, and vote Democrat. That's how the majority of us were raised. It was imprinted on us to vote Democrat. And if you said anything out of Democrat, if you said, well, what's about the Independent Party? You may ask about that. What about the Green Party? What about the Republican Party? You were fussed out. At times you was cussed out. Listen, the black community at one point in time would excommunicate you out the black community if you didn't vote Democrat. Let me tell you something. You could do a whole lot and they'll say it's covered in the blood of Jesus. You can go out here shooting up the black community, dealing drugs to the black community, go to prison and come out. And you were known to be a hell raiser. You were like Canaan in them in power and all that, right? Like Ghost in them. And you come out of prison, oh, what a God to cover all that in the blood of Jesus. You know, God to forgive him. He got to have a second chance. But let you say you're not going to vote for Democrat. Oh, no, the blood of Jesus gone now. You are not even qualified for the blood of Jesus. You are excommunicated because you better vote Democrat. Listen, Democrat is more important to black folk than God himself. I know what I'm talking about. And a lot of you who's watching know what I'm talking about. Democrat Party is more important than God himself. That is the ultimate sin in the black community is if you don't vote Democrat. And the other sin is if you just don't want to vote at all, you're not going to vote. What is wrong with you? Like, the only community I've seen done this. I've been around and seen many communities. Some communities don't even worry about voting. They ain't care less. And if they do focus on voting, this is what I've noticed, which they do is smart. They worry about their local politics. See, y'all so caught up on a presidential election, a lot of you black folk that vote, but you'll live in a city that's 80+% black and have all white people running it. All white people running it. Y'all so much want to run out there to vote for Biden instead of worrying about voting for your city council, your mayor, your district attorney, your judges, your sheriff. Y'all not worried about any of that. You worry more so about going to vote Democrat in the presidential election, which your local politics affect you way more than that presidential election. I don't know why y'all don't make that important. Why don't you shame people for not voting in your local elections, which affect you? You never shame people for that. Now let's continue. It said Republicans said they could never make an even small dent in their loyalty. It said now, however, something might be changing. It said it's not much. It said, but a door may be opening. It said this has terrified the Democratic establishment. Representative James Clyburn, it said old fish fry Clyburn, the black Democrat whose endorsement gave Biden the nomination in 2020, says he's not worried, and we covered that here, but somehow very concerned about Biden doing poorly with black voters. It said this is the fruit of generational party control, witnessed by people who remember that things were better before. It said as a result of younger people eyeing a bleak future and wondering what they have to lose by trying something different. Let me tell you about that bleak future. The Democrats could have solidified voting with black folks even further if they would have done reparations in the form of cash payments. The Democrats would have had it sold up. If the Democrats would have did an anti-black hate crime bill, they would have had it sold up with black folks. If the Democrats would have did Medicare for all, right, they would have had it sold up with just about a lot of young people, period. You know me, I'm a little bit more, they will call me more of a radical when it comes to what I believe in society. I believe that affordable housing should be a human right. Just like I believe healthcare should be a human right. Food is a human right. Clean drinking water is a human right. Me personally, I don't believe people should pay for drinking water. They shouldn't pay for food. They should have affordable housing, and Medicare should be free, or any kind of medical should be free in this country. I believe how that could be paid is that we all pay a tax on everything that we buy, like just a national tax. Everything that we buy, all those taxes are wrapped into it. I'd rather prices go up and everybody get things that are free. You get like a card, like, we got the food stamp system. You get so much money a month. If you exceed your money a month for how many people is in your family, well, you got to pay out of pocket, right? But that's just what I think. Well, and then some people may say, well, Phil, Republicans not going to do something like that. Only Democrats will do that. No, they won't. Because if Democrats will do it, they've done it already. Democrats are just as capitalist as Republicans are capitalist. You better get out of that Democrat-Republican crap. They both the same. Both parties about maintaining white supremacy. And white supremacy is about an uneven exchange of resources. You got other countries that don't even have the amount of money that this country has, and they offer free health care. And do you know why we don't have free health care in America? We could have had it a long time ago. At one point in time in this country, college was free. Y'all talking about student loan debt, college was free. College stopped being free when, after the civil rights movement in California, Ronald Reagan started pushing about a tuition. Prior to that, white people was going to college for free. College need to go back to being free. Why are we don't charge people for an education in public school? But why are we charging people for education now? Charging people for education, to me, makes it elitist. I think everybody should have an opportunity to get an education. It can only help the country, it won't hurt it. But that's how I think, right? And no Democrat's going to do it, because they are about collecting their money and living the same neighborhoods that the Republicans are living in. It's the same ones the Democrats are living in. They don't want to live around nowhere or anybody else. They want to keep their money in their gated communities and want to stay away from the rest of you too. They just play a game. A bunch of rich people talking to poor people about what they're going to do for them. Yeah, right. Now, the USA Today ran a recent story titling, it's a fraying coalition, Black, Hispanic, younger voters abandon Biden as election year nears. Now, they said the key word was abandon. They said it falsely implies that someone loyalty is owed. They said one abandoned one's family, friends, or children. They said people owe loyalty. No voter owes loyalty to any political party. Correct. And that's what I've been trying to tell black folk forever. I have no loyalty to no political party. Nobody can say I'm a Democrat. Nobody can say I'm a Republican. I'm a policy person. I'm politically independent, and I go where the policy lies. Right now, I can't even fool a Democrat because none of their policies align with the black community. Not a one I could look and say, okay, yeah, that's cool, because the main policy they have is with these open borders, which hurts my community. It's hurting it. Any black person that's sitting up here thinking that voting Democrat is the way to go, you are a doggone traitor to the black community at this point. Maybe you don't care if resources is taken away because maybe you got enough money where you're good. But what about our elderly? What about our brothers and sisters who don't have any kind of money? And the migrants are coming in because Biden's open border policies that he believes in. You don't care about what happened to black people? If you want migrants, invite the migrants to your house. None of you people that's voting Democrat, you don't want the migrants in your house. Why don't you invite a couple of families to stay in your house? You feed them, you clothe them, let them be at your house and take your resources. I guarantee it wouldn't even last 3 days for you ready to send them on back. They continue to say, and only black voters face so much scorn, they say, from the left for failing to follow the expectations of the Democratic establishment. They said blacks don't owe Democrats their votes, and increasingly polls suggest they may not supply them in a great abundance as in the past. Now, the Suffolk University poll cited in the USA Today report found that only 63% of black registered voters supporting Biden, down from 87% he received in 2020. Biden has cratered his support on his own. They say 1 in 5 black voters lean toward a third party. They say in November, it's a NBC News survey found Trump winning between 14 and 30% of the black vote. They say a more recent poll had him at 17%. They say this may not sound very much, but that, or even just a tepid black turnout due to Biden's unpopularity, would be enough to prevent Democrats from winning in most states. However, the black vote goes in the end. The discussion this far out is very telling. It's only January, and Democrats fear they're losing what they feel entitled to. They say how they respond between now and November and how Republicans do as well will likely decide the 2024 outcome. I'm going to tell you this. Black people is going to determine who gets the White House. It's just that simple. We've always determined who's going to get the White House. If you show up for Biden, Democrats win. If you sit it out, Biden loses. Whoever the Republican nominee, whether it's Trump, whoever else, I don't know. I mean, we all think it's going to be Trump, but they haven't nominated nobody as of yet. So we got to say whoever's going to be at that time, but possibly more Trump. If black folks go out and vote for, let's say, the 17% number, 20%, Democrats lose. That's how much they're dependent on the black vote. And yet black people aren't prioritized at all. The migrants who did not vote have more priority. Ukrainians who did not vote have more priority. What's going on in Israel has more priority. Everything has more priority. The Asian community who got a hate crime bill for their community, they're not even coming out and voting for Biden. Now, why don't Biden come out there and eviscerate the Asian community for not showing up to vote for the Democrats? When the Democrats did something for them. Notice how they don't talk to them that way. Notice they're not cussing them out. Notice they're not calling the Asian community stupid and dumb and he did this for y'all and this is how y'all gonna repay him. Imagine if Biden did something for black folks and we acted like the Asian community and not showing up to vote for Biden and the Democrats. They'll be cussing us out and be telling us, see, that's why we don't do nothing for y'all, because you don't show up. They'll be just going in on black folk. But these other groups, they don't say nothing to them. Nothing. But yet, this is the party that we supposed to vote for. Like I told y'all, you can call me whatever you want to call me, and I see you in the chat. You know, so I don't know why. How long have you been listening to this podcast? I'm talking about, I don't know why you Democrat shields are always over here, because I see you in the chat. I don't know why you're over here. I'm not going to change my position at all. The Democrats do nothing. Look at California, the beacon of Democrat policies. People are running from that state. They can't get out of California fast enough. California, beautiful state, is going to hell because of Democrat policies. Look at this country being ran by Biden and his Democrat policies. This country has been going to hell. People can't afford anything. Open borders, bringing everybody and their mama. These other countries are emptying their jails. They're emptying their mental institutions. And we're not getting the top scientists and engineers and all these type of people coming across that border. Because they keeping their best and brightest in their homeland. They're sending the people they don't want there, here. Look at what's happening in Chicago. Crime. The idea on the blade. Selling themselves. Some of them have been joining gangs. We got enough issues with crime in this country. And you going and then this is the bad part. Y'all, these freaking Democrats, you're importing a bunch of men. I still can't get over that. You're bringing in a bunch of males, not women, not children, a bunch of men. I'm telling y'all, that is going to be a problem in the next few years. I'm telling y'all, a bunch of young males, not vetted, don't know who they are, where they come from. You don't know their criminal history. You don't know their mental history. You don't know anything. All that catch and release into the country, that is ridiculous. You catch them, but then you release them to the country? No. If I catch you, your behind is out of here. Or at anything, you got to go to a particular facility. And if there's not enough room in that facility, you got to go back across the border and stay somewhere else. Because you can't stay here. See, the problem is with this migrant crisis, a lot of you black folks who vote Democrat, you didn't care about it until it showed up to your front door. And I'm so glad Greg Abbott has been doing that. Sent 300,000 migrants crossed over. 300,000 people. Yeah, I'm glad he's sending them. And Greg Abbott, you keep sending them. I have no problem with you sending them. Send them to Chicago. Send them to New York. Not because of my people. They going to Denver too. Oh, they've been showing up to Denver because they refuse to end sanctuary cities. See, what's ended up happening is the brothers and sisters in Chicago is going to force their hand to end sanctuary cities. Because even hardcore Democrats are starting to say, hey, this is becoming too much. All you'll have to do is say, we're not a sanctuary city no more, so stop sending them. Hey, we're not a sanctuary state. Stop sending them. And then he'll send them somewhere else. It's just that simple. You Democrats don't care about the American people. You don't care. But once again, why is it that the state of Texas have to absorb everything? Because see, it was all good until you start getting them at your front door. When Texas had to deal with it forever and our resources being taken forever, yeah, it's good. Spread the wealth out. But these are the Democrat policies. You didn't have migrants going up to Chicago like that, like you do now, when Trump was in office. But Biden gets in, there you go. Y'all need to think about not only yourselves, but think about people that cannot afford to live like you. Because one thing that I look at, there are people in our community who maybe can't do certain things, maybe can't move around, maybe can't leave the country, maybe can't do this or that. You think about those people. You be concerned about them. Our elderly who can't do certain things. You think about them. And with the open border thing, the migrants, that's not going to be a good thing, especially for black people. It's not going to be a good thing. You're bringing a bunch of people in that speak a foreign language at that. They don't even speak English, a foreign language. And then putting them in your community. And then you complaining you can't get business loans and home loans. But yet Biden and them will make sure they get business loans and home loans. They have a house before you have one. But that's okay because as long as you vote Democrat, you feel good. Because once again, as I said before, Democrat, that's your religion. The Democrat is way more important than God himself. And that's why right there, the black community will stay losing. Because when you sit up here making Democrats more important to you than God himself, we will get exactly as a collective we deserve.